Good day everyone, I am Julian Gaing, a member of Group 1, and we will be talking about the political law. We will be breaking it down to the definition of the political law, the Constitution, the national territory, the tourism and national government, the Department of Tourism, and lastly, the tourism and local government. And to start off, I will be defining what is political law. What is political law? Political law is the branch of public law which deals with the organization and operations of governmental organs of the state and defines the relations of the state and the inhabitants of its territory. It is also an established legal practice area encompassing intersections of politics and law. Political law comprises of election law, voting rights law, campaign finance law, governing lobbyists and lobby, open government laws, legislative and executive branch ethic codes, legislative procedure, administrative procedure, constitutional law, and legislative and regulatory drafting. It is also applied primarily to government officials, candidates, advocacy groups, lobbyists, businesses, non-profit organizations, and lastly, trade unions.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Kazel Ann Corpus, 3rd year BSTM 6A. So let's talk about the Constitution. First, what is a Constitution? It is the system of beliefs and law by which country, state, or organization is governed. In a Constitution, we have the preamble, articles, and amendment. For preamble, it is the preliminary statement which explains in a capsule form what follows. It is an introduction of the main subject. For the articles, it is a list of fundamental laws of the state. And for the amendment, it is an official or formal change made to a law, contract, constitution, and other legal document. Now let's go with the Constitution of the Philippines. The Philippines is an archipelago in the Southeast Asia and consists of 7,107 islands with a total area of 300,000 square kilometers. It is divided into 3 main island groups, which is the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Philippines is a unitary, presidential, constitutional republic with the President of the Philippines acting both as the head of the state and head of the government. The Philippine legal system is predominantly a mixture of civil law, common law regimes, and Islamic law. This was due to the immigration of Muslim Malays in 14th century and subsequent colonization of the islands by Spain and United States. The present Constitution of the Philippines, ratified by the Filipino people in a plebiscite, was on February 2, 1987. On February 11, 1987, by the virtue of Proclamation No. 58, President Cory Aquino announced an official canvassing of results and ratification of draft Constitution. On the same day, it came to full force and effect. This is now today's supreme and fundamental law of the land. Under 1987 Constitution, the Philippine government follows tripartite structure, namely the legislative, executive, and judiciary, all 3 of which are primary sources of law. The legislative branch. The legislative power is vested in a Congress by which is divided into 2 houses, the Senate and the House of the Representatives. Senate has 24 members, and for the House of the Representative, we have 250 elected members. The legislative is the source of statutory law, or also known as statutes, and in their basic form, which is bills or acts, they are written laws that can be looked up or located in databases or books. Second is the executive branch. The executive is headed by the President of the Philippines and his appointed cabinet. The President promulgates presidential issuances and administrative rules and regulations. The cabinet, consisting of the President's advisors and heads of department, is appointed by the President and it assists him in his governance functions. And lastly, the judicial branch or judiciary is the repository of case law or judicial decisions. It is made up of a Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, and 14 associate justices, and lower courts created by law. So the Constitution also establishes three independent constitutional commissions, which are the first, the Civil Service Commission, where they act as the central agency in charge of the government personnel. Second is the Commission on Elections, wherein they enforces and administers all elections, law and regulation to ensure that they are free and fair for all. Third one is the Commission on Audit, wherein they examines all the transactions, fund and property accounts of the government and its agencies. Each of these commission is given governing and financial autonomy to ensure unbiased decision making. So why is the Constitution important? It is important since this is the foundation of a system of a government, and it sets the limitation of government's power and protects the rights of the people of the state, and in order to maintain and preserve peace and order in the society. And that's all for the Constitution. Next is the national territory.
Good morning. My name is Julian Roy, and I'll be defining and explaining what national territory is. Now, this is based on the national territory of the Philippines, but to start off, let's define first what national territory is. So, territory is one of the attributes of a state. So, national territory means the land, subsurface, waters compromising the territory of a country, and of course, its exclusive economic zone. Basically, it is the geographics of a country, the land, underground, water, and even the airspace that is limited by the state or by the country. Now, territory is very important because in international law, jurisdiction, which is an attribute of a state sovereignty, is exercised primarily on a territorial basis. Now, meaning countries, have their own policies and laws that they can execute, but it's only applicable within their jurisdiction. And that jurisdiction is or basically is applied to their territory, so within their scope only. Now, the territorial principle is also important because of a state's jurisdictional competence. Now, this principle confirms the position that events occur within a state's territorial boundary and persons within that territory, even if they're only, on that specific territory for a certain period or like temporarily. Now, they are all subject to the application of the local law of the state. Now, according to the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, Article number 1, the national territory compromises the Philippine archipelago with all the islands and waters embraced therein, and all other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, the insular shelves, and other submarine areas. Now, that is the definition of our national territory according to the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. So basically, the waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines. So, the Republic of the Philippines is a sovereign state in Southeast Asia with more than 7,000 islands, and it's spanning more than 300,000 square kilometers of territory. Now, our country is divided into three island groups, which is mainly Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Countries aim to define their boundaries and territory, and by doing so, it establishes what is owned and determines jurisdiction for policies and legislation. In basic sense, um, take for example here in Manila, we have or in NCR basically, we have different types of municipalities within or consisting our national capital region, and if you can, you'll observe that there are certain policies or laws that differs from one municipal to another. So basically, it's defined by their scope. Let's say, for example, Quezon City has a different policy than Manila, something like that. So it doesn't merely focus on how you control your people or the community living within that territory, but it also means controlling of resources, activities, and development, among other factors. In basic sense, it is related to the concept of sovereignty. Sovereignty simpliciter may be defined as the exclusive right of a state to govern the affairs of its inhabitants and to be free from external control. Now, this doesn't only apply on people or community living within that territory. It also applies for other, let's say, like tourists. Now, they may not live there, but they are in that specific territory, which means that they should respect the laws or the policies being implemented in that specific territory. That's why, if we go to a certain country or place, we must always learn to respect and abide by their laws since we are going to be under their jurisdiction. Now, that compromises all the information under the national territory of the Philippines. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Angelica Vimotaverde from TM6A. I am assigned to talk about tourism and national government or the national laws for tourism. So, we probably know that the conservation and promotion to our tourism industry. So, how does it work? The role of national government in the travel and tourism sector are the formulation of national policies, tourism growth, and development, because the environment is a basic component of the tourism industry's assets. Tourism revenues are often used to measure the economic value of protected areas, not only because consumers expect them to do so, but also because they are aware that the intact destination essentials for the long-term survival of the tourism industry. So, I have here four Republic Acts declared in the Philippines. Number 1. Republic Act Number 9593, an act of declaring a national policies for tourism as an engine of investment, employment, growth, and strengthening the Department of Tourism and its attached agencies to effectively and efficiently implement that policy, and also appropriating funds therefore. The state declares tourism as an indispensable element of the national economy and an industry of national interest and importance. Next is Republic Act Number 710, an act of granting a charter to the Philippine Tourism Association Incorporated for the development and promotion of the Philippine tourist industry. Whereas it is most desirable that the Philippine tourist industry should be developed and promoted as means of bringing in dollar revenues so essential to the economic stability and prosperity of the country and of enhancing the prestige and foreign relations of the Republic. Another one, third one, Republic Act Number 1478, an act to create a Board of Travel and Tourist Industry, defining its powers, duties, and responsibilities and for other purposes. There is hereby created of a Board of Travel and Tourist Industries to regulate international travel and tourism with a view to the development of a prosperous Philippine tourist industry. Last, if Last is Republic Act Number 11365, an act of declaring the Balanga Wetland and Nature Park located in Barangay Tortugas, CP of Balanga Province of Bataan, as responsible community-based ecotourism zone and appropriating funds therefore. The declaration of the policy that state mandated to promote tourism industry that is ecologically sustainable, responsible, participative, culturally sensitive, and economically viable and equitable for the local community. Towards this end, the Balanga Wetland and Nature Park or BWNP is hereby declared special ecotourism.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christine Sehane, and today I will discuss the DOT or the Department of Tourism. Let's start. So first, what is DOT, or also known as Department of Tourism? Department of Tourism established in 1973. The Department of Tourism or DOT is the Philippines Executive Office responsible for the regulation and promotion of the Philippine tourism industry. The history of Department of Tourism started as a private initiative to promote the Philippines as a major travel destination. The Philippine Tourist and Travel Association was organized in 1950. In 1956, the Board of Travel and Tourist Industry was created by Congress as stipulated in the Integrated Reorganization Plan in 1972, sanctioned as a law under Presidential Decree Number 2 as amended. The Department of Trade and Tourism was established, reorganizing the Department of Commerce and Industry. In 1973, President Ferdinand Marcos created a new cabinet-level Department of Tourism DOT by splitting the Department of Trade and Tourism into two separate departments. Included in the new Department of Tourism, the Philippine Tourism Authority PTA and the Philippine Convention Bureau PCB were created. The Department of Tourism was then renamed Ministry of Tourism as a result of the shift in the form of government pursuant to the enforcement of the 1973 Constitution. A Philippine Tourism Commission was created under a unified trade and tourism department to oversee the growth of the tourism industry as a source of economic benefit for the country. In 1986, under Executive Order Number 120 and 120A signed by President Corazon Aquino, the Department of Tourism was reorganized and correspondingly, the Convention Bureau was renamed the Philippine Convention and Visitors Corporation, and the Intramuros Administration was attached, previously being under the defunct Ministry of Human Settlements. In 1998, the Department of Tourism assumed a prominent role in the celebration of the country's independence from the Spanish Empire in 1898. In 2003, the Department of Tourism initiated one of its most successful tourism promotion projects, WOW Philippines, under Secretary now Senator Richard J. Gordon. The latest improvements in the tourism industry in the country came about with passage of Republic Act No. 9593 or the Tourism Act of 2009. DOT's mission is to encourage, promote, and develop tourism as a major socio-economic activity to generate foreign currency and local employment, ultimately spreading the benefits of tourism to both and private public sector. Regulatory Impact Assessment RIA Guidelines. The Regulatory Impact Assessment RIA Guidelines assist the Department of Finance, DOF, Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE, and Department of Tourism, DOT staff responsible for developing, reviewing, and improving regulation to produce better regulation and accordance with regulatory best practice principles. RIA is a process that is part of the board regulation making and review process of the departments. The RIA process promotes assessment of the impacts of a regulation with proper methodology, including the cost-benefits analysis and stakeholder constitution, to ensure that the regulation is effective and efficient in achieving policy objectives while minimizing negative effects on stakeholders affected. DOT STDP program to enhance resiliency of Philippine destinations. The Department of Tourism, DOT, endeavors to ensure the tourism resiliency of the country's prime destination, El Nido, Palawan, through the full implementation of the Sustainable Tourism Development Project, STDP, this year. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat made the statement as she visited El Nido for the awarding certificates to beneficiaries of the Cash for Work and Financial Assistance Program between the DOT and the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE. Like all initiatives of the DOT, it will need the cooperation and collaboration from our partners in government and the private sector to ensure its success. I hope that the DOT can continue to count on your support to power our common journey to recovery and realize a better normal for the tourism sector, not only in Palawan but throughout the nation. Puyat said of the project collaboration among the DOT, the provincial government of Palawan, the municipalities of Coron and El Nido, Palawan, and the Asian Development Bank. The tourism chief shared that the STDP, an initiative under the DOT's transforming communities towards resilient, inclusive, and sustainable tourism, tourist program aims to make El Nido tourism development more sustainable and inclusive, with projects focusing on improvements to the town's drainage, solid waste, landfill development, ecosystem-based tourism site management, and enterprise the Silks development from 2021 to 2026. During her visit, Puyat recalled her first trip to El Nido on July 3, 2020. The pilot test the health and safety protocols in El Nido resorts. One of the first tourism establishment in the town to secure authority to operate and reopen to visitors from outside province through a travel bubble strategy. The tourism chief returned on El Nido in late October 2020 to finalize details on expansion of the province travel bubble to accommodate more domestic tourists and to attend a dialogue with Japanese ambassador to the Philippines, Koji Haneda, to discuss a possible travel bubble between Japan and El Nido.
Good morning everyone, I'm Alexa Marie Menes and I'll be going to discuss some of the local ordinances about tourism here in Quezon City. First, on the 3rd of July, an ordinance number 2961, year 2020, an ordinance declaring La Loma District as a tourism district of Quezon City. Next is the objective. The QC government shall develop La Loma District with the cooperation of barangay officials and stakeholders in the area to promote and popularize the same as a top tourist destination within the city. On the 17th of December, year 2002, the City Council approved the Ordinance Number Sangguniang Panglungsod 1221 entitled An Ordinance Appropriating Funds for the Development of La Loma Business Center to serve as one of the tourist spots in Metro Manila. La Loma District is known as the lechon capital of the Philippines and as a favorite dish in Filipino feast. La Loma Lechon Festival is held every third Sunday of May, where the roasted pigs dress in costumes called the Lechon Parade. The Quezon City Tourism Development Plan, or QCTDP, focused to develop and promote tourism districts that are based on their inheritance, advantages, and place that has potential in it. By developing these areas, there will be some programs, projects, security to attract specific business and aesthetic enhancement that can transform these places into attractive and viable tourist attractions. Second, an ordinance number Sangguniang Panlungsod 2946 declaring the Tomas Morato Timog Avenue area as the lifestyle district. Objective of this ordinance, the QC government shall develop the lifestyle district in cooperation with the barangay officials and stakeholders in the area. Timog Tomas Morato area is one of the tourism district identified in the QC TDP. Morato is a home to a number of notable landmarks and features such as dining and lodging establishments, entertainment centers, media avenue, health and wellness centers. The Tomas Morato is popular because of the name of the streets, where it was named in honor of the 22 Boy Scouts who died in a plane crash. Tomas Morato and Timog Avenue area are the heart of restaurant and entertainment road that comes with cultures and flavors.